Apparently, the Ukraine, this is how the media calls it, it's not Ukraine, it's the Ukraine, is deploying terminators. They have a fancy name. It's called the Phantom. The Phantom Mk-1. Huh? The Terminator. And it's painted black to make it look dangerous, because black looks dangerous. And so when you look into the comment section, you see that people have ethical concerns. Yes, ethical concerns. What are ethical concerns if not the opinion of the women that work at Jezebel or that work at Harvard? Like, what do those women know about war? What do they know about the brutality, the heat of combat, the adrenaline rush? They know nothing, so their opinion should be discarded. What ethical concern? They should have ethical concern about journalism and academia, where they're experts at. That things that surpass their knowledge. But all jokes aside, though, yeah, it seems that technology advances towards this direction. China has robots, like we already saw robot dogs, we saw drones. And so chances are that maybe like 30 or 40 years in the future, robots are going to be quite common. And so the question is, will they be deployed on the battlefield? Like, is something like this actually effective, or is it just like a fad? Now, many people have pointed out that combat robots probably shouldn't look like humans, because it's a waste of function. Human beings evolved the way we did in order to survive as humans. But like, these robots have a specialized task: war. And in war, looking like this doesn't necessarily give you an advantage. So robot dogs, for example, would be a much better fit than to have a humanoid looking robot that can fall down from a blast or make a bigger target. I believe that the answer to this is false. I think that a human-looking robot is probably going to exist in war 30 years down the line, because it can do certain things that a normal drone or a combat dog cannot. For example, it can drive a car, right? If these things cost $130,000 a piece, I expect that in the future the cost is going to drop. But more importantly, they will probably be used in logistics. Like, you don't really want this thing on the front line when you have drones that cost $2,000 and they can explode. And they can take out a vehicle that's billions of dollars in cost, right? So what war is usually about, it's cost effectiveness. But war is also about logistics. Like, okay, you put soldiers in the front line, they still need to drink water, they still need to eat. So like, if you have 100,000 soldiers deployed, like, you need to make sure that the water gets there every single day. So having these robots in logistics means that you can free men from the back lines to fight on the front. More importantly, they can also go inside trenches and dugouts. Obviously, you wouldn't send a platoon of these things because it's expensive, but you could send one to make sure that it can clear corners. And so I do see them on the combat line in the future. I guess, like, the only problem with this, and the only disadvantage, is not what people think about Terminators and Skynet and shit, is that it's going to make every single war into a forever war. So if we look at what's actually happening in the Russian-Ukraine war right now, it's quite brutal. Like, we're back to trench warfare, and soldiers suffer from conditions like trench foot, amputated fingers because of the frost. Like, it's absolutely horrible. And the reason they have trench war is because of the drones. Like, neither side can advance. The moment you get out of the trench, there's a drone operator that spots you and tries to take you out. And so the attacks are usually done by small 4-man, 5-man teams that are spread out, sometimes on motorcycles, and they're trying to reach the objective really fast before the drones can reach them. They're also trying usually to take advantage of the weather, like if it's a really stormy weather or something that makes it difficult for drones to fly, that's when they attack. But the idea is that most of the combat is done with the drones, so as long as either side has body and materials to throw at each other, just manufacturing these cheap drones, the war never ends. And the soldiers suffer because, like, even if you don't see combat, you're still stuck in a trench. You have absolutely nothing to do all day. You can't even go on your smartphone because you're giving away your location. It's cold. Sometimes it rains. You can get trench foot. And it's incredibly boring. And you can stay like that for 1 or 2 years until you actually get to see combat. And it's like 2 or 5 minutes of absolute terror and chaos. And then it's getting back to being bored. And so, if wars are going to be like that, these new inventions are not helping to end the war faster. They're helping drag the war down and making it last for decades. And I definitely think that in the future we're going to see extremely long engagements. Like, if two major nations go to war, you will not see a quick resolution. You will see supply lines disrupted, prices going up. You're going to see people stuck in the trenches, sometimes for decades, while both sides are just trying to outproduce each other in robotics. And yeah, like, you're probably going to have like different types of robots. You're going to have drones. You're going to have these terminators. You may have your robot dogs and shit. And the entire logistics and supply chains may actually be driven by robots. And it's not really a nice future to look to. I'm not going to lie. On one hand, you can expect that, okay, but like, what if everything is mechanized and the civilians just sit behind the front line and the front line is only robots? I don't think that's ever going to happen, because you need bodies, right? And a human being is always cheap, while a robot always costs money. And so even if you have like this high-tech nation in the future, like China, for instance, and they just spit out robots, they will still add the human beings into the mix. And for those human beings, it will be an absolute horror. Absolute terror. Not because, like, the war is brutal, because, like, you're probably going to die really fast, but you're going to have to endure the elements in absolute boredom for months, if not sometimes years on end. That there's no glory to it. That there's no, war stories that you're going to come back to tell. It's going to be absolute horror. You probably won't even be able to make video games out of that shit. To be fair, the only good thing is that if you do have war, these ethical concerns that women have, they will be marginalized, because humanity starts inventing a lot of cool shit during wartime. And so, like, these robots are going to have to constantly be perfected. And this means that once the war is over, you're going to have, like, the best sex bot imaginable.